A week after the funeral, I went back to Mom's house. Cold air still carried the scent of her favorite lilies from the memorial. I was holding her casserole dish, the blue one she always used, when I realized something was off. The front door was locked. Not just locked, different. New handle. New deadbolt. Like it belonged to someone else. At first, I thought it was a mistake. Maybe Derek panicked. Maybe the old key got jammed. But then I saw the note taped to the windowpane, scrawled in his sharp, impatient handwriting. Private property. Inheritance has been executed. Do not enter without permission. Something cracked open in my chest. Not quite grief, that had already hollowed me out the night she died. No, this was something else. A slow, rising burn of betrayal. Let me back up. Our mom, Carol, passed 3 days before. Peacefully, they said. I don't know if any of it feels peaceful when the call comes at 2:17 a.m., and the nurse says your mother transitioned in her sleep. I remember staring at the ceiling for hours after that, hearing her laugh in the walls. She'd been sick for a while. Cancer, the slow kind. But she never stopped being Mom, still made tea for us when we visited, still told me to clean behind my ears like I was 10 years old. Derek and I, we weren't close. Not since Dad died. He drifted, I stayed. He chased money, I stayed with Mom. Took her to appointments, handled the bills, cooked on weekends when her hands shook too much. She used to joke that she had one son who ran the world, and one who kept hers running. I never knew how to feel about that. At the funeral, Derek showed up late. Designer suit, sunglasses on indoors. Barely looked at the casket. When I asked if he wanted to say anything during the service, he waved it off. Said he'd said his goodbyes, in his own way. He left early too. Didn't come to the house after. No hugs. No casseroles. No stories. So that night, I came to Mom's place, our place, technically, to grab a few things. Her photo albums. The little music box that still played, You Are My Sunshine, when you wound it. But the lock didn't turn. And that note? That was his voice, clear as ever, even without him there. I called him. No answer. Texted. Nothing. So I called the lawyer. That's when the next crack opened. He said Derek had already filed paperwork. Said our mother left everything, the house, the savings, the jewelry, even the car, to Derek. Claimed there was a revised will, signed a month before she passed. But I knew what the lawyer didn't. That same week, she wasn't in her right mind, and I had proof of that too. Inside the hall closet safe, she kept her will. Her real will. And something else, the letter she wrote me. In it, she said she'd been confused. That Derek had tricked her. That she tried to call the lawyer to revoke what she signed. I took photos of everything, the will, the letter, the envelope with her handwriting. I even mentioned the voicemail she'd left for the lawyer the next day, saying she'd changed her mind. Because this wasn't just about what was signed last. It was about what was signed under pressure. And now, I didn't just have the truth. I had intent. I had timeline. And I had doubt, the kind that holds up in court. A note I hadn't opened yet. She'd slid it into my hand one night when I brought her tea. Said, read it when you feel like I'm gone for good. And trust no one, okay? Not even blood. At the time, I thought it was the morphine talking. But now I wasn't so sure. I went straight home and dug through the box I hadn't been able to open since the night she died. It was still on my nightstand, a small envelope, off-white, sealed with the kind of care you only give to words that are meant to last. She'd written my name on the front in her steady cursive. For Jonah. When the time is right. I didn't wait for the right time anymore. That window had closed the moment I saw that lock changed. I peeled the envelope open, careful not to tear it. Inside was a single page, folded twice, and it started like this. If you're reading this, then I've already left. And I'm sorry, sweetheart, not for dying, but for what I've left behind. My hands shook, but I kept reading. She went on to say how proud she was. How much she leaned on me, how she knew I carried more than I let on. But then the tone changed. Got sharper. Heavier. Your brother, he's not evil. Just lost. I made a mistake trusting him with anything tied to paper. I was tired, and he took advantage of that. She explained how Derek had come to visit a month before her final decline. Brought flowers, her favorite perfume, even read to her from one of those glossy estate planning guides. Said he just wanted to help. But the real reason became clear when she mentioned the lawyer. He had me sign something. Said it was to make sure my affairs were clean. I thought it was a HIPAA form or a release for medical access. I was confused, Dan. I wasn't in my right mind that week. That's when the crack in my chest split wide. I tried to fix it. Called my lawyer the next day, but I couldn't get through. I left a voicemail saying I wanted to revoke whatever I signed. I planned to follow up, but that week, things got worse. I could barely sit up. So I wrote this. And I put a copy of my real will in the hall closet, in the safe. Just in case. I knew you'd find it, Jonah, and I trusted you to know what to do if Derek ever overstepped. Then came the last line. Scribbled almost like an afterthought, except I knew my mother too well. She didn't leave afterthoughts. Trust no one with the key to your heart just because they share your blood. Not everyone who calls you brother is standing beside you. Some are standing behind you, waiting for the moment you stop looking. I sat there, the page trembling in my hands. That was Mom. Always poetic when it counted most. And suddenly, I knew what I had to do. But there was a problem. I couldn't get inside the house. And the safe, the one that held the will, was inside a coat closet that now belonged to my brother. Before I did anything, I called the lawyer. Asked a simple question. Can one airlock the other out before the estate is settled? He paused. Then said, not without a court order. Until the will is validated, you're both legal occupants. That was all I needed. So I did something I hadn't done since I was 13 and locked out of the house for sneaking in past curfew. I went around back. The sliding door off the deck had always been a little finicky. Mom used to wedge it with a yardstick because it jammed in the summer heat. I checked under the planter, sure enough, the old stick was still there. I slid it in. Nudged. Prayed. It gave. Quietly, carefully, I pushed the door open and stepped into a house that no longer smelled like her. The air felt hollow. Her blankets were gone. Her chair, the one with the blanket I'd bought her, was missing. He'd already started clearing her out. Like she never existed. But the closet was still there. I moved fast. Opened it. Moved the coats aside. Felt for the ridged edge of the old combination safe bolted to the floor. Still there. Still locked. And I still remembered the code. Her birthday, reversed. 1946 became 6491. Then the day Dad died, 21. Then my birthday, 03. Click. The door swung open. Inside, a red folder, sealed in plastic. A stack of photos, us as kids, all three of us, before Dad passed. Her engagement ring. And the original will. Handwritten. Dated. Notarized. I flipped through it, heart pounding. She'd left the house to both of us. Jointly. 50-50 split on the savings. Her car to me, because I'd driven her to every appointment. And one final line, handwritten, not typed, circled in blue ink. If either of you tries to take more than your share, or hide something from the other, I hope you remember this, I raised you better. And if you can't honor that, give it all to someone who needs it more. It wasn't a legal clause. It was a challenge. A mother's last dare. There it was. In her words. He tried to steal everything. And in doing so, he might have cost us both. I took photos of the will with my phone. Every page. Every signature. Then I slid it back inside, exactly how I found it. Because this wasn't over. Not even close. I didn't just have the truth now. I had proof. And Derek? He had no idea I was coming for him. The next morning, I called Derek. Straight to voicemail. I didn't bother with a text this time, I wanted to look him in the eye. So I drove. He was staying at that apartment downtown. The one he always bragged about, with the doorman and the glass elevator. I told the concierge I was family. She buzzed me through without question. Guess he hadn't told them we weren't on speaking terms. When the elevator doors opened, he was standing in the hallway like he'd been waiting for me, barefoot, holding a coffee cup, looking smug and tired all at once. "Took you long enough," he said. I didn't answer. He stepped aside, let me in like this was just another Tuesday. The place was all chrome and leather. No pictures of Mom. No trace of the funeral. Just cold light and expensive silence. "I assume you saw the locks," he said, sitting on the edge of a sleek sectional. "It's nothing personal. Just, legal precautions." I stayed standing. "You filed the new will." He nodded like I just confirmed a pizza order. "She wanted it that way, Jonah." "No, she didn't," I said. "She couldn't even hold a pen when you visited. And you know it." He didn't flinch. Just sipped his coffee and looked at me like I was some unpaid intern. "She signed it," he said, "and the lawyer has a letter." She also called him the next day and left a voicemail trying to revoke it. "Did you know that?" He looked up at that. A pause. Then he chuckled, low and dry. "She must have been confused." I pulled out my phone and opened the photos. The will. The clause. Her handwriting, not the shaky mess from those last days, but her real script. Sharp, thoughtful, measured. "She kept the original," I said. "In the hall closet safe. The one you forgot about." His eyes flickered. Just for a moment. But it was enough. "You broke into the house?" he asked, voice tightening. "No," I said. "I opened a door to a place I still legally own." "You locked me out, Derek. You lied to the lawyer. You tried to erase me." He stood up then. Set his cup down slowly, like he needed both hands free in case things escalated. "She was confused," he said again. "And I was protecting the estate. You would have squandered it, kept her car, turned the house into some museum of grief." I took a step closer. "You mean I would have remembered her?" He didn't answer. "Here's the truth," I said. "You're broke. You've been broke. Ever since that investment firm let you go. You needed the house to sell. You needed the money." His jaw tensed. "Don't talk like you know anything about my life," he said. "I know you disappeared when Dad died. I know Mom kept bailing you out. I know she cried when you didn't call on her birthday last year. She said she forgave me." "She did," I said. "But forgiveness isn't a deed transfer." He moved to the window, back turned. "Why are you here, Jonah? You already have your proof. What do you want?" I stood there for a long moment. Watching his reflection in the glass. "I want you to do the right thing." He laughed. "And what does that look like?" "Call the lawyer. Tell him you made a mistake. That she was medicated. That there's another will. You and I split the estate, the way she wanted. He turned. Or I met his eyes. Or I bring this to court. And if it goes public, that clause kicks in. Everything gets forfeited to charity. Silence. You could feel the weight of it. Like a seesaw right before it tips. Then he said, she never trusted me. She wanted to, I said quietly. She just didn't know how. He looked away. Wiped his mouth like he was trying to erase something. Finally, he nodded. Give me the weekend. 48 hours, I said. Then I go to the lawyer myself. He didn't answer. Just walked back to the couch and sat down like he was already somewhere else. I left without another word. Out in the hallway, the elevator was slow. Gave me too much time to think. Not about revenge. But about how broken two people have to be before blood stops meaning anything. That night, I sat on Mom's porch. It still smelled like her. I lit one of her old candles. The lavender kind. And I opened a second envelope I'd found in the safe. Smaller. Tighter handwriting. No date. Just one line on the front. If Derek doesn't come back, read this to remember who he was before he got lost. Inside, a photo. The three of us. Christmas 1989. Derek was holding a toy car, grinning like a boy who still believed people came back when they said they would. And I remembered something. He used to leave the porch light on for Dad when he was late from work. He was 5. Back when he still believed in people coming home. I folded the photo. Set it on the table. And left the porch light on. Just in case. Derek didn't call that weekend. Not Friday. Not Saturday. Not even Sunday at midnight, when the clock turned and my patience finally gave out. I gave him the benefit of the doubt, once. But by Monday morning, I knew what this was. A stall. A bluff. Maybe he thought I wouldn't follow through. That I didn't have it in me. But he was wrong. Because this wasn't about winning. This was about making sure Mom's voice didn't get drowned out in the noise of his ambition. I emailed the lawyer everything. Every photo. Every scan. The note she wrote me. Even the envelope, with her handwriting as clear as the sky before a storm. I included a timeline, told him I'd be willing to give a statement under oath, and asked him to verify the voicemail Mom had left trying to revoke the new will. His reply came the next afternoon. Short. Formal. Thank you for the documentation. I will be halting all disbursement activity on the estate immediately pending a formal review of the documents provided. In other words, I'd just thrown a wrench into Derek's scheme. 2 hours later, I got a call. Blocked number. But I knew who it was before I picked up. His voice was clipped. Cold. You went to the lawyer. You gave me no choice, I said. You're going to regret this, Jonah. That word, regret, it landed different coming from him. Like a threat dressed up as advice. I'm not afraid of you, I said. You should be. Then he hung up. And for the first time, I let myself admit something I'd been pushing down for years. Derek had stopped being my brother a long time ago. The truth is, we hadn't had a real conversation since Dad died. Back then, we were just two scared boys trying to fill the shape our father left behind. I tried to hold the family together. He tried to outrun it. He was 16 when he stopped coming home for dinner. 22 when he bailed on Mom's first surgery. 25 when he asked her for a loan and ghosted for 6 months after she said no. Now here he was, 37, trying to rewrite her legacy in his own image. But she'd seen it coming. That's why she wrote the clause. That's why she left the safe. She knew who we both were. And she still gave us equal pieces of her life. Not because we earned them, but because she wanted us to earn each other. I spent the rest of the week digging through her things. Not looking for more proof, but looking for her. The woman behind all of this. I found a cassette tape in her desk drawer. Labeled, Christmas '92. I didn't even have a player anymore. So I drove to the thrift store, bought one for $6, and sat on the floor of her living room, surrounded by old sweaters and candle wax, listening to her voice crackle through the speakers. She was singing. Off-key, just a little. Derek and I were in the background, arguing about something, probably a toy, or the last cookie. You could hear her say, "Boys, boys, it's Christmas. Let's love each other, okay?" Then a pause. Then her voice again, softer. "Someday, you two are all each other will have. I hope you remember how to come back to each other." I stopped the tape. Just let the silence hang. I didn't cry. But I did sit there until the sun dipped low and the house turned gold with late light. The next morning, Derek texted. "Meet me at the house. 1 hour. No punctuation. Just like him." I drove over, not knowing what to expect. He was already inside when I got there. No lock this time. Door was open. He stood in the living room, next to the empty shelf where Mom kept her books. His tie was crooked. Hair messier than usual. He looked older, not in years, but in weight. Like something had finally caught up to him. "I talked to the lawyer," he said. "He's not going to fight this." I nodded. Then he said something I didn't expect. She had every reason to cut me out. And she didn't. "No," I said. "She didn't." He looked around the room like he was trying to memorize it. "I don't want the house." I waited. "You keep it," he said. "Buy me out. Or sell it. I don't care. But I don't want to fight anymore." I studied his face. Looking for the catch. But there wasn't one. Just exhaustion. "Why the change of heart?" I asked. He let out a breath. "Because last night, I dreamed about her. And for the first time in years, she looked disappointed." I didn't say anything. What do you say to a man finally feeling the weight of 1,000 burned bridges? We didn't hug. We weren't that kind of family. But he walked past me on his way out, and for a brief second, he paused. "You're a better son than I ever was," he said. I didn't argue. Just watched him leave. And when the door closed, the house was quiet again. But this time, it didn't feel empty. It felt whole. I thought that would be the end of it, Derek walking away, the lawyer putting things in motion, and me settling into the house with a sense of quiet justice. But grief doesn't respect clean endings. It lingers in the wallpaper. It waits until the dust settles, then taps you on the shoulder when you're pouring your morning coffee. The house was mine now. On paper, in spirit, in the way the floor creaked under my steps like it recognized me again. But it didn't feel like home. Not yet. So I started small. Unboxed her photo albums and placed them back on the shelf. Hung her wind chime on the porch. Cooked her chili recipe, got it wrong the first time, burned the garlic, but it smelled like her. And that was enough. The next morning, I walked past her room. And stopped. I hadn't gone in since she passed. Something about it felt sacred, like walking through a church after hours. But I pushed the door open, slow. The bed was made the way she always liked it, hospital corners, throw blanket folded at the foot. Her robe still hung on the back of the door. I sat on her side of the bed. That same dip in the mattress. That same quiet hum from the lamp she always kept on low. And I read the note again. The last line haunted me more now than it did before. "Some people stand behind you not to support you, but to replace you." I used to think she meant Derek was the enemy. But maybe it was something deeper. Maybe it was her warning me against becoming him, losing myself in bitterness, fighting for scraps of memory instead of building something new. Because that's the thing no one tells you about grief, it's not just about who you lose. It's about who you become after. That night, I walked out to the porch and turned the porch light off. Not out of anger. Out of peace. Derek and I wouldn't be close. Not now. Maybe not ever. But he'd said what he needed to. And I'd said mine, in action, not in words. Mom always said love doesn't have to be loud to be real. Sometimes, it's in letting go of the fight. The next morning, I found a small package at the front door. No return address, just my name, handwritten on the label. Inside, a flash drive. Labeled simply. For Jonah. From her. At first, I thought maybe Derek had left it. But the handwriting didn't match. Then I remembered, one of Mom's nurses had pulled me aside after the funeral. Said, she left something for you. Told me to give it when things quiet down. I hadn't thought about it until now. I plugged the drive into my laptop. It was a recording. Her voice, softer now, older, probably from one of the voice memos I'd shown her how to make years ago. She was reading something. A letter, maybe. And if you're listening to this, my sweet boy, then I want you to know you were never second. You were my heartbeat. The one who stayed. The one who reminded me, every day, that presence means more than promises. I sat there, the screen flickering, her voice wrapping around the room like sunlight through curtains. And I cried. For the first time since the funeral, I let it happen. Not because I was broken. But because I was healing. And healing, I've learned, is messy. But it's honest. It's earned. And that house. It finally felt like mine. 3 weeks later, the estate was finalized. The lawyer filed the real will, no dispute. Derek signed the paperwork quietly, with no tricks left to play. We barely spoke. Just nodded, signed, and left through separate doors. The house stayed mine. Not because I won, but because I didn't walk away from it. Life settled into something steady. Not peaceful, exactly, but manageable. I fixed the porch railing, cleaned out the attic, gave her garden a second chance. It felt good to care for something again. To build, not just preserve. One Sunday, I found a letter tucked inside her old recipe book. Not hidden, just waiting. Dated 2 years ago. Jonah. If you're reading this, it means the quiet parts of life are finally louder than the pain. That's what I want for you. Not closure, but continuation. Take what we built and carry it forward. Not perfectly. Just honestly. Love always. Mom. That was her gift. Not just the house. Not the money. Not even the memories. It was that quiet instruction to keep going, even with a cracked heart and heavy hands. Derek sent one message after everything was settled. No apology. Just. Thanks for not torching me in court. I didn't deserve it. He was right. But sometimes grace isn't earned. It's chosen. I replied. She left the light on for both of us. I just kept it burning. That was the last we spoke. I kept the porch light off now. Not out of anger. Because there's no one left to wait for. And that's okay. The past is folded, stored gently. Not erased, just set down. And me? I'm still here. Living in a house filled with her voice, her stories, and now, my peace. Not perfect. But real. And finally, mine.